Now, I spoke with witnesses earlier today, one a photographer who rushed to the scene and a fellow pilot himself. The other, one of our own Fox 8 photographers, Chris Russell, who says that Nancy was doing what she loved, telling a story, when that story turned tragic. What we do know is there was an exchange of gunfire here along Canal Street between police and a suspect. Now, witnesses on scene who helped call 911 and actually saw someone jump from the window, from the second floor window of this beauty salon. When I was talking to these witnesses, they were saying that there was actually a police chase, and this car actually crashed into a couple of other cars on scene. Mandatory evacuation for the East Bank has been lifted. There are 80 people sheltering in place. They'll try and get those people back home tomorrow. And oyster fishermen are saying that 100% of the oysters that they're dredging up are coming up dead, which is not only a serious impact to their livelihoods, but could have lasting impacts for years to come. There are 44 total floats, more than 3,000 women taking part in this crew of Nicks, so there's still time to come down and catch it if you haven't already. With the much anticipated implosion of the two precariously leaning cranes at the Hard Rock came some less anticipated wait time.
I just want to see it explode. This is the first time.
Hey, when is it going to start? This and that, da-da-da. We keep getting delays and, but everybody's just ready.
But after crews sounded the air horn, the cranes were quick to go.
It was just shocking, just the boom, but that was it.
I thought it was kind of sad. It was a little hot, but I'm sure it felt a lot better out here than, the victims.
Now I want to know what they're going to do with that crane hanging over there.
It's way better than what it looks, okay? And I know what it looks like, but if you remember, we talked about cutting the crane, remember, and then it hooking on the building. Exactly what it did.
For those located closer to the implosion site, they said they weren't expecting that kind of impact or this amount of damage.
This dynamite, I'd never been this close to dynamite.
George Friedman's Hotel Maison Pierre Lafitte sits right on Canal, down the street from the Hard Rock site. He says he was sitting in one of the top floor suites to watch the engineering at work.
When that thing went off, but that was a serious boom, man. I literally fell backwards off of it. It kept me away from the broken glass.
Now he's faced with replacing several blown out windows from the implosion, a cost that's beginning to add up considering how this main thoroughfare has remained closed.
The choice to push everybody away from the danger zone was the absolute right decision to do. And I give it to the fire department, the mayor, and the engineers and everybody. I feel bad for the people who died.
In the end, many understand it's a mission the city had to accomplish in order to make everyone safer, and for two families still recover the remains of the two workers still inside. In a letter, you can put into words what you feel in your heart.
I love you so much. So much has happened since my last email.
For Beth Wood, she wrote letters and emails to her three little girls just after learning her heart had stopped working.
I gave birth to your beautiful sisters and went into heart failure, a condition known as peripartum cardiomyopathy.
Wood found out she was pregnant with twins September 2017. Things seemed fine until the last trimester of her pregnancy.
I was gaining a lot of weight. I would gain 10 pounds a week, 20 pounds a week, 30 pounds a week.
Despite the dramatic weight gain, swelling, and loss of energy, Wood gave birth to two healthy girls, Marley and Milani. While in the hospital, she kept insisting something was wrong.
I could barely hold them without falling asleep. When I was in the hospital, I dropped them a couple times.
Wood said doctors and nurses wrote her complaints off as common pregnancy and postpartum symptoms and sent her home.
I was really, really depressed. I felt isolated. I felt like a bad mother. I felt like I was crazy. Make them laugh, babe.
While this should have been a precious time to bond with her newborns, she struggled to care for them. She couldn't catch her breath, walking, sitting, lying down, nothing helped. She rushed herself to the emergency room.
And the doctor came in, she said, "We have bad news." And I just kept saying, "Don't let me die, have babies, have babies."
At 33, doctors told her, "Your heart's failing," and readmitted Wood into the hospital. Her diagnosis, peripartum cardiomyopathy, or PPCM.
I would have died in my sleep at some point. I just knew something was wrong. And I was just going to keep going back to every ER till a doctor listened to me.
Doctors didn't know if she'd make it back home to her family, so she wrote these letters.
Being admitted in the hospital away from you and my newborn babies was the hardest thing I ever had to endure. I wanted them to remember me, and I just honestly felt like I was going to die.
Dr. Dennis McNamara is the co-director of the Peripartum Cardiomyopathy Network. He says the biggest problem surrounding PPCM is the lack of awareness of the condition among medical providers.
No one expects a young woman in her 20s or 30s or 40s to be presenting with a heart condition at the time of what should be just a wonderful event, the birth of their child.
The condition impacts nearly 1 in 2,000 women who give birth every year. While it can be genetic, doctors say it can develop among any pregnant woman and tends to show up more in black women.
The United States is one of the only developed countries where maternal mortality is actually increasing.
The tricky thing is the symptoms of PPCM mimic those of pregnancy and postpartum, and that's why women themselves are their best advocates. So if you start to experience excessive swelling, difficulty of breathing, shortness of breath, or heart palpitations, go to the doctor and ask about your heart specifically. McNamara says the test to confirm PPCM is relatively easy with a non-invasive cardio echo. And doctors say once it's diagnosed early, it's easier to treat.
We are getting better. People are picking up and are more aware of the illness. It's relatively easy to diagnose if you think of it. The important thing is to think of it.
Wood is home again with her family, but her life is different. She's working to strengthen her heart and regularly seeing a cardiologist and taking medication, but she says she still regrets not being there for the twins.
So I basically missed out on like the first 2 weeks of her life. I just feel like I had no bond with them. Like I was basically robbed from my newborn experience.
Hey, little diva.
That mom guilt, she says, is growing even stronger now that the twins' first birthday is coming up.
That's something I actually fear because it's gonna bring me back to what happened. My oldest, I love her birthday. I think about May, I get warm sensations, I get happy, but when I think about June, it's completely opposite. It's the worst month of the year for me.
Faced with death, Wood says she battles her fears every day.
Am I gonna have to explain to them, this is what almost happened because I was pregnant by you? I think about that too. I don't want them to feel responsible.
She's choosing instead to pour her love into her health and children instead of letters to remember her by.
I would give up my life if I had to. It would have been worth it. I wish my days would never end with you. I love taking care of you. I love being your mom. I love watching you grow. I love you.
It was a celebration of Nancy's life, and viewers, family, friends, and colleagues did indeed celebrate her life.
And we all family to show y'all that we love her. And we're gonna miss her.
Once I met her, I just turned over to Fox 8. I just love her. She makes everyone so happy.
A second line led the crowd to the Fox 8 doorstep. The memory of one woman brought everyone together, this time to remember the presents she brought to the Fox 8 anchor desk.
One of her younger colleagues, even at one point, looked her in the eye and said, "Nancy, you are the matriarch of our newsroom."
Yes, yes.
And Nancy looked at her and said, "Baby, don't you lay that title on me. I'm not that old."
Long hours logged in the newsroom mean colleagues develop into friends. That was the case today. Friends embrace Nancy's mother, who was all smiles as she saw the love for her daughter on display.
I think it was just the most beautiful tribute my baby could have ever had. She loves this station. This is part. She'd be here when she should be at home sometimes because it was something that was going on. But I know this station and I know how they felt about my baby. And that's not just now, but it's been always. And I just love every one of you. And I feel like I'm a mama for all of you.
And following a moment of silence, those who told stories alongside Nancy for decades rang a bell for her 8 times. Those at Fox 8 become family, in part because of the love we share for each other's family. And releasing 8 doves, Nancy's family saying the final goodbye.
Well,
spoke to many viewers who filled Jeff Davis earlier today. They told me that they invite us into their homes every single day, and they are going to miss inviting Nancy into their homes and living rooms, but wanted to pay their respects. Reporting live outside Fox 8, I'm Amanda Roberts, Fox 8 Local First.